It's that sound that we all know. What does the Steve say? What does the Steve say? Punch, 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 punch for punch. A punch, 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 punch for punch. A punch, 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 punch for punch. What does the Steve say? Money, money, money.
Good morning, Bucknuts. It is Thursday, May 21st, 2015. I am Dan Rubin. If it is Thursday, if it is the BM5, it is Steve Wiltfong. Back into his usual spot, getting used to it. Steve, how are you this fine morning?
Good morning, Daniel. Always a pleasure to be talking Ohio State Buckeyes recruiting with you on a Thursday morning. I look forward to this, man. I'm already looking forward to next week.
Steve and I just had an extensive off-field conversation here where we really should take that and sell it for premium, but that's not going to happen. One of the guys we were talking about is, of course, the director of recruiting for 24/7 Sports was sharing knowledge with me. Jordan Fuller, a defensive back out of New Jersey, and you mentioned something that kind of caught my ear, and that he reminds you of another Buckeye who we're expecting a lot of things out of this year.
Well, Jordan Fuller, 6'2", 190 pounds, one of the best, most impressive athletes at this weekend's Oakland Nike Football Regional, where he was invited to the opening, and then we invited him to the U.S. Army All-America Bowl. Just finally got a chance to see him in person. He's, got fantastic tape, and he's a guy that's a dynamic playmaker on both sides of the ball, could be a big-time receiver, big-time corner, could play safety. If he's physical, he could be a guy that could come in the box at times and give you something there with his size, 6'2", 190. He's going to be at 200 pounds. These young athletes, they're taking the game of football and bringing it forward. Guys like this weren't around in the 80s that were that big and could flip their hips and things like that. But Eli Apple was, one of those bigger corners, and Eli was in that class of 2013 that was really talented out of New Jersey. And Jordan Fuller is another one of those big corners out of New Jersey. I think he's got a chance to be a 5-star by the time the process is over. Ran 4.51 in the 40 laser this past weekend, and also showed he could cover at an elite level. And he wants to play corner on the next level, certainly could play safety, and some schools like him at receiver. He said Ohio State, Penn State, and Rutgers were the schools recruiting him the hardest. I know he's been seen wearing a lot of Buckeyes gear around town, where he's had. I think Ohio State's in great position for him. Going to visit Notre Dame this summer, take his time with the process, but definitely like where the defending national champs stand with Jordan Fuller, who is in our top 100 right now, but I think could end as a 5-star come signing day.
Yeah, that area of New Jersey has traditionally been a Penn State stronghold, so it'll be interesting to see what they can do there. Speaking of 5-stars, another part of our off-field conversation that I was thrilled by, it does look like Ohio State's next 2 commitments have a very good chance to be 5-stars if everything goes as planned. These are guys we've talked about extensively. As we get a little bit closer to it, though, and we get a little more giddy, break it down of what you think the next 2 guys would be. And there are 2 guys we've talked about a lot, Austin Mack and I almost said Joey Bosa. I got to have like a swear jar for that. And Nick Bosa. Kind of bring us up to speed on when you think they'll commit, and just, I guess you can rehash what you think of both of them, which I'm sure is pretty good.
Well, before I go in on the 2 5-stars, Austin Mack's announcement on June 7th that's been scheduled. He's going to announce at the RAS camp that AWP runs, Athletes with Purpose. That's where he trains, and that's where Rod Smith trained, former Ohio State back, and lots of really good players that have gone on to play college football. And so they're having a camp, and there's going to be several guys announcing their college decision that day. 24/7 Sports will be there. Austin Mack will be a Buckeye that day. But the next 2 commitments, in my opinion, I think are going to be Nick Bosa, the 5-star defensive end from Fort Lauderdale, St. Thomas Aquinas, the number 7 player in the country, according to the 24/7 Sports Composite, the number 2 strong side defensive end. I think it's a matter of time before he's a Buckeye, and I think his teammate, Trayvon Grimes, the 5-star receiver from Fort Lauderdale, St. Thomas Aquinas, the number 1 receiver in the class of 2017, the number 7 player overall, according to 24/7 Sports. I think that he will be a Buckeye sooner rather than later.
Wow. Grimes is a guy we've talked about. I've read a little bit about him, and the term A.J. Green comes up in terms of a comparison. Can you tell everyone a little bit about Grimes?
Well, you're talking about a kid that hasn't even played a junior year in high school, 6'3", 180 pounds, can stretch the field, has ball skills, just a fantastic talent.
Yeah. Do you also get the sense that it might be coincidence, and they just have a lot of great players, but it does you get a real feeling here that Ohio State's building, and you've always got the Glenville pipeline north to Cleveland. It feels like they're building a long-distance pipeline to St. Thomas Aquinas.
Well, they got good players every year, and no one works it harder than Ohio State. Ohio State makes an effort to build those relationships all the way around, from the off-field staff keeping in touch with the people that they need to keep in touch with, to the coaches and the coordinators going down there. And then obviously Coach Meyer plays a part in the top targets for Ohio State. So I'm a believer that if your coordinators and your head coach is not involved in the recruiting process in today's landscape, then you're recruiting with one hand behind your back. And one of the guys that was the pioneer in that regard is Urban Meyer, and he demands a lot from his recruiting staff, and they've done a great job of building a relationship at a place like St. Thomas Aquinas because they know they're coming back there every year. And then obviously you see the results of the way Ohio State develops guys, and I feel like every week somehow I manage to bring up Mick Marotti's name, but, Joey Bosa being the projected number one player in the NFL draft, sure, you can give kudos to Larry Johnson and staff, but I would imagine Mick Marotti played some part in that as well, and getting him ready to be the man-child he is on Saturdays. And so it's the total package, and kids everywhere see it. It just so happens that we bring up St. Thomas Aquinas every year because they have cats every year. They have big-time players every year. Hey, I'd like to go back to Jordan Fuller just because I forgot real quick.
Okay.
Ohio State's got guys lining up to want to play for the Buckeyes, and you look at guys like Jordan Fuller and DeMar Hamlin, those are guys that Ohio State's waiting on. So in their mind, those are elite guys right there, and those are the A guys, and the A- guys just got to wait and see what happens with the A guys. So, I think just seeing Jordan Fuller in person, it just validated in my mind just why Ohio State loved him so much. He's a fantastic player and a great kid.
There he is, Steve Wiltfong, every Thursday. You can't beat it. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it.